Good morning and welcome back to Money Growth Project. I want to do another video today talking about casino stocks. I actually just did one of these yesterday, but I want to follow up with it because there's more to talk about. You know, I live here in Las Vegas, Nevada, where the casinos are kind of an important part of our economy here. So guys, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. And if you have money in casino stocks, I'd like to hear about it down in the comments section. This one comes from casino.org talking about Las Vegas Sands, MGM, and Wynn, highlighted by Wells Fargo as COVID-19 rebound plays. And this is not the first time I've heard this recently about the pent-up demand for people to go travel and spend money because they really haven't been able to in the last, year or more for some people. So the article jumps in here talking about, the gaming companies and how they're being favored right now by Wells Fargo as the bank upgrades the sector, citing an unusual consumer strength. So it gives the quote here talking about upgrading the consumer services industry group to overweight from neutral, and then based on these factors here. And it says, in its bull call on consumer discretionary names, Wells Fargo highlights the familiar issues of increasing COVID-19 vaccinations and pent-up demand as a positive catalyst for shares of casino, hotel, and restaurant operators, all three of which are vitally important to not just the Las Vegas area, but really the entire state of Nevada. I mean, that 4-mile stretch of the Las Vegas Strip, then downtown Fremont Street area, of course, as well, but that area, from Mandalay Bay to about the Strat is a huge factor and a huge player in our local economy here. So it does talk about this too with the exposure they have to China. So it says Wells Fargo is also positive on consumer services names with exposure to China, a box checked with gaming giants Las Vegas Sands, MGM Resorts International, and Wynn Resorts. So basically, because the Chinese market for gambling is huge. I mean, much bigger than it is here in the U.S. And a lot of these companies, they make more of their money from gambling overseas in Macau than they do here in Las Vegas. Even though Las Vegas is very well known, particularly among Americans. I remember an employee at Las Vegas Sands, I think he said the gaming floor in Macau is like 4 times the size of what they have here, like at the Venetian Palazzo. So this makes the case for saying, combined, those companies operate 9 integrated resorts in the special administrative region of Macau. In cases of Las Vegas Sands and Wynn, those firms rely on the world's largest casino center for 2/3 or more of earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization in any given quarter in a normal operating environment. So yeah, Las Vegas Sands and Wynn. 2/3 or more when it comes to that. And that's a huge factor, obviously, in their revenue, and it can affect their stock price. Let's look at these real quickly. If you look at MGM from their low point in March, like middle of March here, when things were getting really bad. I mean, they were down to under $8 a share. Now they're at almost 40. And then Las Vegas Sands today, you look at them about a year ago in March, they were, I think, down in the 30s. Yeah, they were down into the 30s. Now they're over $64 a share today. And you look at Wynn. Wynn was down into the 40s, I believe. Yeah, there they were. They were down in the 40s in March when stuff was really going bad. And now they've come up. I mean, they've come up now, man, $136 a share. So if you bought during that time in March, that was pretty big because, we were shut down here in Nevada for 2.5 months. So it's hard for these places to make money if there's, almost zero tourists coming. And it does talk here in the article about some changes they have coming that boast well for these companies. So it does talk here about how, Macau equities have long been favored by Wall Street over gaming names with heavier Las Vegas exposure because there's so much more money that comes from Macau than Las Vegas for gambling. Based on the notion that pent-up demand will facilitate a more rapid rebound in the Chinese territory, signs of that resurgence are emerging as operators such as Las Vegas Sands and Wynn reported improving EBITDA figures for the final 3 months of 2020. And then it goes, Wells Fargo MGM mention is encouraging. It says, for investors, staff, tourists, and Las Vegas alike, MGM making the cut as one of Wells Fargo's favored gaming ideas is encouraging for multiple reasons. The Bellagio operator has the largest footprint on the Strip. That is true. MGM is the big dog on the Las Vegas Strip. They're also the biggest employer here in the state of Nevada, followed by Caesars as second. And the U.S. gaming mecca accounts for roughly half of its EBITDA. or EBITDA, as I used to have a professor in college say, EBITDA and EBITDA, depending on who was announcing or pronouncing it. It says Sin City is highly levered to the themes of consumer strength, increased vaccinations, and pent-up demand. Plenty of work remains to get conventions back to Las Vegas. Definitely, that's huge. Not having conventions, I did a video about that on my Jacob's Life in Vegas channel. That's hurting us big time right now in Las Vegas, not having the business crowd during the week. This is live entertainment up and running again. Yeah, because right now we still have no live entertainment on like Fremont Street and that kind of thing. Shows are trying to work their way back to where they were before, but it's going to be a little while. It says MGM took a significant step in the right direction last week, saying that effective March 3rd, so in about a week and a half, the hotels at Mandalay Bay, Mirage, and Park MGM will be open 7 days a week, 24/7. That is definitely a positive sign because throughout this reopening, several of these casinos and hotels have opened up. Then they've decided to close back down for like during the week and that kind of thing. So MGM Properties did that. The Palazzo did that for Las Vegas Sands. So they closed during the week. We're only open on the weekends. So it says MGM and Wynn are both up more than 6% on the Wells Fargo comments, while shares of Las Vegas Sands are higher by more than 5%. The Mirage operator is the best performing member of the trio since the start of 2021, with a year-to-date gain of 15.58%. So that's what's going on with casino stocks right now in 2021. I want to hear what you guys have to say below, especially if you're holding any money into these casino stocks and these companies, if you bought during March, which would be amazing, and how you're doing now and what you think about this information, Wells Fargo's opinion on it. So thanks for watching Money Growth Project. I will see you guys again soon.